What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Tailgate Sports Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Tanner Johnson, and Ricky is not with us this week, but we're gonna keep going along. It's a two-man small business. We're trying to cover and increase the coverage of high school athletics here in the state of Arizona, and we'd love your support. Follow us on social media, on Instagram at Tailgate Sports Podcast 24, on TikTok at Tailgate Sports Podcast, and we do have an X account. It is the TGSP 24 at TGSP24 on X. And today we have a special interview with the head coach of Combs High School, Coach Hoaglund. Did I say that
Nailed
right?
it.
All right,
Nailed it.
perfect.
Nailed it.
I'll let him introduce himself real quick.
Yeah, I'm Coach Hoagland. I'm the head coach at Combs High School in Santan Valley. I've been the head coach there since 2022. Started actually at Combs as the JV head coach in 2021 after moving down from Colorado, where I coached from 2017 to 2021 when I moved down to the Valley. So,
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah, it's great to have you on, Coach, and we really appreciate you giving us the
yeah,
chance for
man,
this interview.
excited to be here.
Perfect. And so, first things first, I know you played in college at
Mhm.
Colorado Mesa University, if I'm
Yep, yep,
remembering correctly.
yep.
Okay. And then after that, what kind of made you want to get into coaching as like just being a player in college and experiencing that? What kind of led you into the coaching aspect?
Yeah, I mean, I love being at CMU, and I think it's a great school, great program. Still, they're doing a great job up there with everything that they're doing, and getting that program to a level of competing. And unfortunately, with my career, I got done playing high school ball in 2014, and due to numerous head injuries and trauma, I
Mm-hmm.
was highly recommended to stop playing. And like a lot of our athletes deal with is football is
Mm-hmm.
their identity. Like, people know this person is the football player. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people struggle with, we don't talk about a lot, is, well, what happens for life after football? Like, what are you going to be doing?
Mm-hmm.
What's going to be going on? And you learn all these skills with football, with teamwork and trusting each other and working hard and all this. But now, like, you actually have to go apply it. And I was a sophomore in college, and I just got done playing, and I couldn't play anymore. And my OC from high school called me, and we had a really close relationship. And he's like, "Hey, come coach with us. Like, you're not doing anything else. You're just doing school. You're working a couple days a week, but just come and coach, man. Like, let's get you into this." Because I was kind of at a loss of what I wanted to do, because I wasn't a teaching major yet. Um, so I did, started coaching. He's like, "Yeah, you're gonna get your teaching degree now, and you're gonna come out and do this with us." So he was really instrumental in that and getting into coaching. And I was really fortunate to get some, in my mind, some important roles pretty early in my coaching career that's got me to where I am today.
Yeah, that's awesome that your relationship with your coach was able to just help you through probably a difficult time in your life.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, super blessed with him, Matt Borgman. He's still up in Colorado, but he was one of the coaches that, um, took me under his wing from my freshman year all the way up to my senior year, and texted me once a week how everything's going, and so it was great to have that, and something I try to do with players today.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's great knowing that because you are the family away from family, especially kids that sometimes kids are just in rough situations. You are that male role model, that the safety outlet for these some of these athletes. So that's great to hear that you're trying to continue that tradition of continuing
Oh,
to
yeah.
always just be there for your athletes.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So obviously, you said you were an offensive coordinator,
Mhm.
and so are you still calling plays
Yeah,
at
yeah, and
Combs?
it's funny enough because in high school I played quarterback and linebacker, primarily
Mm-hmm.
quarterback. I got offered to play linebacker. They offered me a little bit more money with how D2 works. They give partial scholarships to most guys until they're
Mm-hmm.
starters and they figure out the full ride stuff. But They said, "Hey, we'll give you this much to be a outside linebacker. We'll give you this much to be a quarterback." And the outside linebacker was a lot more.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? Okay, let's do it. In my high school, we were on triple option, double wing, Army Navy style
Yeah.
stuff, and so it's really tough to convince your spread offensive coach that's recruiting you to let you try quarterback. So I played defense in college, and I got to Palisade High School where I started coaching. And I was actually on the defensive side of the ball for the first year.
Hmm.
And with that, and a lot was asked of me. I was in the booth, I was the eyes in the sky, and the defensive coordinator I worked for, Landon McKee, like, there was very certain things that he wanted, which is kind of where I
Hmm.
learned to pick some of those things up. But then it was kind of cool to get to go to the offensive coordinator side. And the coach that I talked about earlier, Matt Borgman, he stepped away from coaching to be a dad and be with his girls, which is awesome. But it gave me a chance to step into that OC role with a really good quarterback,
Hmm.
Cameron Tucker, that year, and a couple other guys. And so, with calling plays, I started doing triple option, all numbers, quick calls, manage the
Hmm.
clock, do those things. And then when I moved to Arizona, I got to see a little bit more of the spread style stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And so today, to answer your question though, today, I do still call the offense. I have some
Hmm.
great coaches that help me out. I have a run game coordinator, my offensive line coach, Pat McBride. He has really been working with our run game the past 3, 4 years. And we feel like this year we're at a spot where like we're really rolling with it. This offseason has been a big emphasis on how we install our run game,
Yeah.
what we do with our run game. And so that's been cool to kind of see his perspective on stuff, and getting another offensive line coach, Michael Osai. He's come onto our staff and he's been rocking it with Pat with the O line. And so it's
Hmm.
made the run game calling and install a lot easier on my end because they've really taken pride in building that this year. And then I have a new coach, a new receiving coach on staff. His name's Colby Dickey. Um,
Hmm.
and he's been great so far, with just talking about past concepts and quick games, sprint out, and
Hmm.
everything. So I have called the offense, and I do enjoy calling it. And it's really easy when you have guys and coaches that are willing to help you out and not care who gets the credit, because it's all them telling me like, let's run this, let's look at this. And we have a lot of situational stuff that
Yeah.
they see in the box, when a defense is, hey, they're blitzing A gaps a lot, or they're in a 30 front, they
Hmm.
switch to this. And so they're like, hey, let's
Hmm.
look at this play. And so it really is a team effort. Like, yes,
Yeah.
I still call it and I still signal it in, and I still tell Cannon Hale, our quarterback, what to do, but it really is a team effort in calling plays and how we go about things.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great that you got that supporting cast for you, for especially coming to Arizona. I mean, it's high flying. They're trying to score points left and right.
Yeah, yeah, man.
So
Yeah, put it in the end zone, man.
yeah, so it was a bit of an adjustment, but you had people that had experience to help you kind of continue this. That's really good that you have built that infrastructure around you.
Yeah, and I'm really fortunate to do that too, because that was one of my, they always ask you in an interview, like, what's your biggest weakness? Like, what's something that you're gonna struggle with? And everyone comes up with like, oh, I work too hard, or I do all these things that are generic answers that that everyone's gonna give you. But that really was my worry with getting a head coaching job down here was, you get this job, like, okay, I moved from Colorado a year ago. I don't know people. Like, I need to find coaches. I got to find guys I
Mhm.
trust. And
Yeah,
I think all my coaches now would tell you, like, if we had the team that we had our first year, things would be a lot different because we gel so much more now. And
mhm.
we do this, and it's absolutely true, and we rotate through kids, and we have good kids today. We had good kids, my first year, and we've had good kids every year. But I think as a coaching
Yeah,
staff, that's something that's sometimes overlooked is, are you bringing guys in that you've coached with for 20 years? Or are you bringing guys in that you interviewed a month ago that now you have to figure out how they do their thing? So I feel like we're at a
mhm.
spot now that we do that, and it helps a ton to have that infrastructure there with my coaches. And the trust, I think, is the big thing too. Is there's infrastructure, but then there's trust with the infrastructure. And man, I trust my guys 110%. So it makes, like I said, it makes calling plays. Um,
Yeah,
I don't know about easier, but it makes calling plays, it gives me more confidence with it, which then in
yeah,
turn does make it easier. So
yeah. It is. It basically tells them that I trust you, and they feel comfortable doing their job.
yes,
And then you feel comfortable trusting their comfort. So it's just it makes everyone just relax
Yeah. Yep.
around. So with going into this next year, obviously there's a ton of realignment going on with
Yeah.
teams moving up. Obviously, call it AZ College Prep moved up to 5A,
Yeah. Yeah.
and Vista Grand also moved up to
Yep.
5A. So they restructured your division. You got Arcadia, Eastmark, Mesquite, Poston Butte, and Snowflake.
Yep. That's correct.
I gotta be honest. I think this is a pretty winnable region for you here.
Man, I don't know, man. There's some really well coached teams in that
So
region.
yeah,
So
I looking at the region, I really like. I liked a lot of the restructuring that AIA did this year because
agreed.
they
Yeah.
propelled a lot of teams that are just dominating where they were up to the higher levels to compete, and dropped some teams that just weren't competing. Like Tempe dropped, Tolleson Union dropped down.
Hmm.
I mean, Tolleson Union hadn't won a game for a couple of years at this point.
Hmm.
And I like that they're trying to focus on this. And so with your region, obviously 4A is still super competitive. With I think your region is probably the best out of the rest of the 4A as it currently stands, unless there's any more moving.
Yeah.
But um, you guys made the 4A playoff.
Hmm.
Okay, this past season you lost in the first round, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But going into this next year, you made the playoffs this year.
Hmm.
What is your building blocks to continue that? To take that next step, win the first round or the second round, and possibly make a run. What is your building blocks this year that you need to attain?
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, with coaching, our first year at Combs, it was we had a lot of good players with a lot of high expectations, and our goal was to make the playoffs. And unfortunately, it came down to the last play of our against Arcadia that year in 2022, and we didn't get it, and we missed the playoffs by like one or two spots. Year
Mm-hmm.
after we took a little bit of a dip. We lost a lot of seniors. We lost a lot of dudes that year. But then, so this last year's goal that the seniors came up with and our leaders came up with was like we want to make the playoffs. Combs hadn't done that in 10 years, so since 2015, they hadn't made the playoffs. And so our goal is like let's get there. Like we gotta before we even worry about anything else, we need to like actually get to the show. Because that's step one. And so with the seniors talking about that, and obviously it's like, hey, let's get there and let's win games. But we're talking like bare minimum goals, like we need to make the playoffs. Um, and so our seniors did a really good job at bringing that goal into practice every day, into film study every day. And just like any program building, like there's always some like a step back and then two steps forward. And that's kind of
Yeah.
what it felt like this last season with some stuff. But at
Yeah.
the end of the day, the seniors really locked in and they were competing and they were doing stuff. And I told the seniors after that tough loss to Yuma Catholic, I said,
Mm-hmm.
guys, like I know this stinks. Like this is not where you want to be, but did you achieve your goal? And you can just
Yeah.
tell her, like, you know what, we did achieve our goal. Like, our goal was to make the playoffs. And if we were to go and beat Yuma Catholic and then go to the next round and next round, whatever it could have been, well, at the end of the day, that's just gravy on top of it all. Like we
Yeah.
did what we were supposed to do, and so it was pretty cool to see those seniors achieve that goal. And now in that same conversation after that game was everyone else, let's take the torch and let's run with it. With off-season workouts, with drills, with film study, with everything that we're doing going into spring ball, summer. We need to compete, and with the new structure of the 4A playoffs, um, the first eight teams get a bye. And
Yeah.
so our first goal is like we want a first round bye, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Without having a bye week built into our season now, a lot of those players have never done that before. I'm used to it. Being from Colorado, we never had bye weeks.
Yeah.
Um, I came down here, I was like, wow, we get like a full week off, and you still do
Yeah.
stuff during that bye week, but
Yeah.
um, so it was kind of weird, and, like not like we're going back to it, not
Mm-hmm.
having a bye week now. And for me, it's normal, but for the players, they're kind of like, so we don't get a break like this whole season. And
Mm-hmm.
not that they're like complaining about it, but it's just new for them. And so it's
Yeah.
something that we're gonna have to week 6, 7, 8. We're really gonna have to. put pedal to the metal and get through that. And then our goal is to have that first round bye so we can get some rest and be in
Hmm.
that top eight. So that's our first goal is earn the bye. That's
Hmm.
one thing we have written on our board in the weight room right now is we do want to be in one of those top eight seeds because nice thing about that is, as you know, as a sports guy, you also get home field advantage that for that, like it's technically the second round. So
Yep.
we want the bye because it also gives us home field advantage too, and that's our number one goal. But I think at this point in the program now, like we want to be competing for state championships. We want to have that talk. We want to keep building that and putting it out there for our players to go after. Um, Now, the season's going to prove if we're ready for that or not. I
Hmm.
personally think we are. I believe my
Hmm.
coaching staff is ready to coach a team that has been part of, or that could win state championships. Luckily, a lot of those guys have had
Hmm.
experience doing that. We're just trying to bring it to Combs now. So
Yeah.
it's not state championship or bust or anything, but
Hmm.
it is like we need to start competing for this, guys. With where we're at, with
Hmm.
what we're building, it's time to start winning some of those games and get rolling.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I mean, you you built that foundation. Like this is we attained it. Like there's
Mhm.
no ifs, ands, or buts. That is the
Yep.
baseline now.
Yeah,
Our
exactly.
baseline is
It's the
playoff.
standard. Yep.
So that's great. And then uh, getting that bye week, that first week, the first round of the playoff.
Hmm.
That's this goal for this season. Is there any particular players or coaches that have stepped up in the off season in your mind that have just carried the flag, carried the torch for this?
Yeah, yeah. We have some guys that they started their sophomore year
Hmm.
back in 2023 when we had that our 2-8 season. And I mean, you can make a million excuses for why you went 2-8. Like, I'm not trying to do that.
Yeah.
But what it was is we had seven starting sophomores on both sides of the
Hmm.
ball. And so, but what that has done, and we kind of, we're trying to facilitate this and build this is, hey, they're going to get a lot more experience than the people we're playing their junior, senior year. There's going to be guys that we play their senior year that have four varsity games under their belt, and these guys have 20 already. And so
Hmm.
um, I think a lot of these guys now have been carrying the torch. Like they have been the ones that have really helped with the senior leadership, and they've been learning how to do it. And right off the
Hmm.
bat, just our quarterback, Cannon Hale, he started as a freshman. And man, he would tell you that season went awful. He's a he's a freshman quarterback. He looked like a freshman quarterback. A lot of not reading the run game because we do a lot of zone read stuff. There
Hmm.
was been a lot of reads going on. It was like handoff or like this guess on the read, and he's really been
Hmm.
working stuff like that. Whether it was last season or this off season, he's been working on his footwork, his reads, passing, his relationship with the running backs and the offensive line. And then there's other guys too, like Levi England is our middle linebacker on
Hmm.
defense, and he has been absolutely killing it in the weight room. He had a little injury hiccup after the season where he got rehabilitated, but now he's putting back muscle. Van Merkley also got hurt in that last Vista Grand game, and man, he is light years ahead of where he should be right now. And so
Hmm.
they're the guys that have they've been holding the torch and they've been running with it, but now they see like, hey, we can make playoffs. We can do this. And so, I mean, and I could probably name all 22 of our starters and say that they're holding the torch. So, if they see this, they'll be like, well, why
Yeah.
don't you talk about me, Hoagland? But here's the deal: is this would be a 2 hour long podcast if I talked about all of them because they're all such great
Yep.
guys and they've been doing a great job with our program and um, yeah, that's kind of where we're at with it. So, but those would be the main ones, and then there's guys that are helping them too. Coaching wise,
Hmm.
like you asked, man, back to Patrick McBride, he has this whole thing. It's called the 5 Second Fight Club, and it is his way to get linemen bought in. And man, he
Hmm.
does daily points for stuff. You get points for attending, you get points for drawing run blocking correctly, you get points for being at weights and doing all this stuff. And man, that's really got our offensive linemen bought into what he's doing. And getting new kids to come out, and
Yeah.
I would love to be like the location for offensive linemen in high school ball, because
Yeah.
he does such a great job with how he builds that culture with those guys. And So he's been doing great. Then we do have a new defensive coordinator coming this year. His name's Colton Spearman. He was at Chrisman last year,
Yeah.
as their DC, and he's
Hmm.
coming over with us. And he's already installing stuff. I'm like, man, we haven't even had our first day of spring ball yet. You got the whole install in the playbook. He's like, man, I'm just excited. I'm excited to be here. I want to compete for playoff spots and so, but same thing, man. My coaches, I can name all my coaching staff because I really feel like it's been a team effort out here at Combs, and I'm really fortunate to have them.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, it
Yeah,
definitely is helping you guys build that program into what you
yeah,
want it to be. There's definitely potential for it to be everything that you want it to be.
yeah, yeah. I'm hoping, right? Fingers crossed.
Yep, and it just takes hard work. That's what I've always thought is hard work. No matter what you put in the effort, you guys can attain what you want.
Yep.
Um, and so, kind of my last thought that I'm leaning with right now is with you coaching ball or coaching high school right now.
Hmm.
Obviously, you're a teacher there, so that kind of helps. Have you ever kind of considered moving up a level to potentially be a college coach? I know there's a couple around the valley that have dropped down, a couple that are moving up, and so that's just the question for you. Have you ever considered moving up to be a collegiate coach?
You know, I think every coach thinks about it. You're watching the ASU Texas game this playoff season, and you're like, man, it'd be really cool to be on the sideline of that game, like coaching guys and being in it. Or, you go
Yeah.
down there to the stadium and watch ASU take on these teams, and you see guys like Kenny Dillingham, like,
Hmm.
he's a younger coach and he's doing it. Like he's killing it there,
Yeah.
and he's really getting the Valley bought into what ASU is doing. And so is there always consideration that you want to do stuff like that? Like, yeah, absolutely. You know, um, I have a lot of friends that coach college ball, and they love it. And I think for me, I love being at the high school level for different reasons. Because I see what they do, and it's
Yeah.
recruiting visits, it's traveling, it's
Yeah.
long road trips or flights, and it's a
Yeah.
lot. And I don't think that's a reason not to do it. But I do think with high school, there is such a need for good coaches
Yeah.
in high school. I think a lot of these kids aren't going to get to go play college ball, especially with all the new rules coming out, with the
Yeah.
JUCO ruling, with 2 year stuff, with cutting roster sizes down to 105, with NIL, with all this stuff.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like there's going to be some high school kids that get left. Now they can go compete in JUCOs, they can go compete different ways, but I think
Yeah.
we get a solid group of kids in high school that like they need attention, man. They need to be taught
Hmm.
these lessons, and
Yeah.
that's my whole coaching philosophy, right? Is I like we have our all in acronym, which is for attitude, love, legacy, integrity, and now. And that's what we preach throughout our program. But what we're trying to develop with that is what I call AWOL. And I got this from Matt Borgman, that coach that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Is it's athletes with ownership and leadership. Like
Yeah.
that's what we want to produce. We want to produce athletes that when they are done playing football, because it's going to happen. You never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
It's gonna. It could be your
Yep.
last game. It could be your last season. But when you are done playing, you feel like you have the ability to go be a citizen, to be a father, to be a business person, a doctor, whatever profession you're going to be, whatever family structure you're going to have. But you feel confident that you can do those things. Now, I'm not saying college coaching doesn't do that, but I think with college coaching there is a pressure now to win more than
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
Because hey, if you don't, you're out. Like we're gonna bring some other
Yep.
guy in, and so I don't always think those relationships get to as deep of a level, or it's not as easy to get them to a deep level like that. Where high school, fortunately, it's still pretty amateur. While and
Yeah.
you're getting the kids that you've been given, and you just got to
Yeah.
bind to those kids. And I think a lot of coaches also get, and myself included, get into this like, well, what if we had this kind of kid? Like, what if we had this kid? It's like, man,
Yep.
you're playing the hands you're dealt, and you just got to love those kids. You got to coach them up. You got to teach them what it means to be a quality young person today. And so that's why I love high school ball. I don't think I'll ever go above high school. But man, I sure do love going and watching, the Sun Devils take
Yeah.
on people on Saturday night. So I will enjoy college
Yeah.
ball. I will admire all my friends from afar. And I'll call them and see how their season going and stuff. I got guys at Mesa and CSU Pueblo and all these different areas. But
Yeah.
for right now, yeah, I will be sticking with high school and seeing where that takes me. So
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, just talking, I've done tons of interviews with tons of coaches around the valley, and it's a lot of the same thing. It's the fact that you can mold these boys into men by the time they're leaving.
yeah.
And so that's awesome to hear. It just shows that your heart is in it for the right reasons. Like you are coaching
Mhm.
for the right reasons. Like you
Yeah,
feel for these
absolutely.
athletes, you feel for these players. And so I really appreciate this opportunity to interview you today.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
We we'd love to continue to work with you going forward, and I just want to say thank you to everyone for listening to the podcast. Don't forget to support us and comment and subscribe, follow us, follow our Instagram. We're posting every time. We're posting clips from interviews, clips from our other shows, and hopefully down the line, we're going to be posting some game highlights from these players.
Be awesome.
And so we just want to say thank you again for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.